Hello everyone, my name is Mace and welcome to r/ProRevenge, where people get back at bossy, entitled, or insane individuals with sweet, sweet revenge. Our first story is about a BMW driver that learns not to take someone else's spot after being given plenty of warning. Our other story is about a mother that thinks that it is wise to get into a noise fight with a Basshead. With introductions out of the way, let's get started. Alrighty, for my first story today, I will be doing I Warned You Not to Park Here. This all happened when I was a young man, around 21 years old. I was sharing a flat with another young bloke in a Perth suburb, AUS. I had not long had my first car, an old 1972 beat-up old Ford Falcon. You know, base model, slightly rusted, air-conditioned floor, etc. I'm 50 now, so quite a long time ago. I loved my old Ford. It was roomy, comfortable, and reliable. As a part of a large block of flats we lived in, each flat was given 2 parking places, one undercover and one open. My spot, clearly numbered with a 2 in a large white paint digit, was the open space. All was well for a few months. I was getting along really well with my flatmate, and we all got along well with our other neighbors. Enter entitled person. He drove a fairly new BMW, nice and flashy. Whilst I was at work, he took it upon himself to allow himself to steal my spot. In Australia, the Ford Falcon was one of the largest cars on the road, and parking was difficult. It would be classed as mid-sized or even compact in the USA. I get home and my spot is occupied. Off I go to find someone else's spot to borrow for the night. I ask Unit 1 as I know they don't have a car, and they are quite accommodating to me. Still, I go inside and write a note to the owner of the BMW and neatly place it under the windshield wiper, hoping that a polite request would do the trick. Nope. Next day, same thing. Now I'm getting a little irritated. I repeated the previous night's efforts, but made the note bigger and a tad ruder. I know he got the message because the bits of paper were gone. Day 3, same thing. It's the weekend. Unit 1 couldn't lend their spot as they had visitors. Okay, fair enough. I parked my big old Falcon across the front of the BMW, blocking it in. I wasn't going anywhere that weekend. Next morning, the BMW was gone. Somehow it managed to slip the coupe. I steal my spot back again. That evening, the BMW did to me what I did to him, blocking me in. I see red. Upset me is not nice me. I'm patient. I bide my time. Monday morning, he's gone, and I go to work. Monday evening, yep, you guessed it, spot taken, again. Fair dinkum? Does this guy think he owns the spot? Revenge mode. New note on a sheet of A4 paper, written on his windshield with big black text, the kind that goes through the paper. Full sheet is stuck to his windshield with a horrible masking tape that always leaves something behind when it peels off. Next day, note gone, and BMW still in my spot. Okay. Same again with the note. Rude to the extreme, kindly explaining to the BMW why in the 7 dark levels of hell he shouldn't park in someone else's spot. Maybe even referring to his dubious parentage. I then get out the big gun, my silicone gel. I use the entire tube, plastering every square millimeter of the page, and stuck it to his windshield, right in front of where his eyes would look through at the road. Try ignoring that! When I go to leave for work the next morning, the BMW is gone, nowhere to be seen. I saw it further down the car park a couple of days later, with a brand new windshield. Needless to say, he never parked in my spot again. In fact, neither did anyone else. Ever. I must say, that revenge was pretty good. I wasn't expecting that. Like, I honestly thought the guy was just gonna call and get the guy towed, but honestly, this was a good alternative. This story is called Don't Mess in Volume with a Basshead. Sorry if I make some grammar or spelling mistakes. English is not my mother tongue. So I moved into my flat 2.5 years ago, and as you can read in the title, I like to refer to myself as a Basshead, because of which I bought a 1500 watt sound system. I was very careful about not annoying my neighbors, and it worked pretty well for everyone except for one mother living in the flat above me. As soon as my volume was over 30%, she was standing in front of my doorstep, and I always turned my volume down. So far so good, but she started to come downstairs even when my sound system was turned off. Last Christmas, I came home, and she unloaded a package from Pioneer from her car with a victorious smile on her face. It turned out to be a 900 watt system for her daughter. So Christmas Eve came, and the daughter tried the new system's power. I don't care much about music from the other flats, but music even started to play when the daughter wasn't in school. One day, I was learning some hard stuff for my tradesmanship and had these annoying R&B beats vibrating through my ceiling. I went upstairs and asked her to turn the music down. Her answer was, "Do you now know what it feels like for us?" and turned the system to the max. The game was on. I went to my flat and texted all of my neighbors, "It'll be loud for 3 minutes." Sound system on. 100% power. 400 BMP terrorcore music. Yes, I enjoy this music. The track ended, and I saw my neighbor standing in the garden with an angry look on her face. The next day, she returned her system and spent something around 1.2k pounds on a bigger system. Around 1700 watts. Again, she came in with an even more victorious smile. After she was done building up the system, she turned it on to max. I couldn't keep up with this kind of power with my private system. Too bad she did not know that a friend of mine and I are having a small DJ business and some equipment too. So one day she went to work and my buddy came over with all of our equipment, including our 3200 watt concert system, our monitoring system with 450 watts, and some adapters to connect my 1500 watts to the whole construction. So we had a total of 5,150 watts of sound systems set up and ready to destroy everything. She came home and I played my beloved hardcore on my home system on full power. She easily overpowered my system, and I can see her in my mind grinning in the kitchen. After 5 minutes, I turned my sound system off to connect it to our concert system. She turned the music down as well. Since this has happened often, our other neighbors have gotten used to this. But for safety, I sent another text that it's gonna get really loud for half an hour. I even informed the police and the landlord about us wanting to test our sound system on full power, so my villain can call them, but they did allow us to try our system, so that part was from the table. We connected the systems. We turned the power to the maximum, and played the most aggressive set we can put together. You may imagine 30 minutes of 250 to 500 BPM of hardcore, up-tempo, and terrorcore is a torture for anyone who does not listen to this music. After we were done with our sets, we turned everything off. Turns out that a 5,150 watt system in a 40 square meter flat was a little too loud, and we both were kinda deaf. So our landlord, who was living down the road, stood in the garden and said, "This was way louder than I expected. Since you have this kind of equipment, do you want to play some music, but not the stuff I just heard at our company parties?" In the same moment, my personal sound villain joins our talk. Neighbor: "How can you just stand there and watch them be so loud?" Landlord: "They told me that it was going to be very loud, and I allowed them. And if I remember right, there were some complaints about you annoying your neighbors with your music." Turns out that almost all of my neighbors are listening to harder styles from time to time, and they hate the R&B stuff she was playing, so only she got complaints while I was the beloved part of the neighborhood. She sued me for harassing her with noise, but she lost the case, having to pay me 500 pounds in compensations for false excuses. On top of this, she lost her flat, and I only have to pay 60% of my rent for DJing my landlord's company's parties for free. Now that was a pretty good story. All that comes to mind listening to this is that episode of The Simpsons where Bart is attaching all the megaphones together, pointing towards the main town. But instead of Bart, you just sort of have Emperor Palpatine just sort of behind the megaphones, and is just like, unlimited power! And just destroying the town with the sounds. Thank you all for listening. If you like what you heard, please let me know with a like and a comment below. If you're new, please subscribe for all future videos. Again, thank you all for listening, and I wish you all a wonderful day. Unlimited power!